Welcome everyone. I'm Sharada Devi. Here we are, day 19 of Ritualize Your Life Challenge. We are now more than halfway through. Yesterday we celebrated the 18th day. And so I'm welcoming everyone who is joining live today and those that are going to watch the recording. Hello, hello. I'm seeing you all arriving. So let's take this moment and offer our prayers to Ganesha and to Saraswati like we have been doing the last few days. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Aim Hrim Om Saraswatyai Namaha. Aim Hrim Om Saraswatyai Namaha. Aim Hrim Om Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Okay. So, welcome Theo, welcome Carmen, hello Rika, hello Andy, hello Feifei, Christine, hello, I think it's Susan, and welcome those that are joining through this live. Hello Sophie, please say hello and let me know how you are today, how this Ritualize Your Life challenge is blessing you or triggering you. Hello Katarina, hello Mindholm, Bambi. The insights, the dreams, everything is welcomed. It's wonderful to know and hear how this is landing for you. And you can, throughout the life, share your questions, experiences, and then I can also weave that in. I may not always answer immediately, but I see it and then I can weave it in. I went to the beach today. I had kind of a day off a little bit. We had a full day on Sunday during full moon, 3 classes and then the live. And yesterday also I had a few calls. And so today, this morning, I took the time off, went to Mother Ocean and met with a friend, beautiful Devi, also beautiful yoga Tantra teacher, and we had these wonderful conversations about the masculine actually. It was all about how we have related to our partners in the past, what kind of patterns are still present, and what kind of relationship we actually invoke in our life, what kind of relationship we want to have with a person that a life partner. Because the truth is we have so many relationships, and often when we hear the word relationship we only think of like the life partner or the husband or the wife, the lover. And actually when we use the word relationship, actually every person I relate to, if it's a woman, a man, non-binary, if it's my boss, my sister, like I have a relationship with this person. And there are many relationships that have a significant, have something profoundly significant, have a profound significance, I think that's the word, in your life. Like they mean a lot. It's not really the relationship that means a lot, it's the person that means a lot to you. We call those the significant others. And so in those relationships we have those significant others whose opinion and how they relate to us makes a big difference in how we see ourselves, in how we treat ourselves. And so today, actually, this day, number 19 of our Ritualize Our Life challenge, is dedicated to all the people in our life and to all those relationships and to all beings that bring out these different flavors in us, that bring out these different persona and characters out in us. So I really look forward to this life today. It's very filled and with a lot of goodness, and it's a very beautiful mantra that we're learning today. We're learning a part of a bigger mantra, and then those that want, you can learn the whole mantra. And I took one part of that longer mantra that really represents the spiritualizing, the ritualizing of all our relationships in our life, so that every relationship is actually meaningful, purposeful, and helps us to grow, because that's really the purpose of all relationships. And like the one with the partner, that profoundly significant other, and often it's the one that we are intimate with whom we have intimacy, not emotional intimacy, of course also, but especially physical intimacy. And that brings out that part in us that doesn't come out otherwise. Like it's that particular physical intimacy that brings out that aspect out in us that is not brought out in most other relationships. So that's basically the topic of today. I'm gonna go into that. I just want to read your comments. Kate says, hello, I have been at sea for a few days with family. I was just listening today, 16, then jumped to this life. Wonderful. Great. Okay, you're all the way to 16. That's amazing. So then you're gonna catch up on the mala and the unseen. Beautiful. And Theo says, I'm still feeling deeply moved by the Hanuman song and the mudra of opening the chest to find the infallible parents. This shifted something in my heart. I reached out to both my parents in thanks. Oh, yeah. The greatest gift we can gift our parents is to set them free. If we can do that, we made it as a human being. If we can really set our parents free. That's quite a journey. It requires a lot of understanding, requires a lot of will, determination. It requires profound commitment to your own journey. Only when we have this commitment to ourselves, then I can really settle account with my parents and let them be free. Acknowledging that they have done the best they could. They really have done the best they could. And that has to sink into our bones again. It's one of those that just has to sink in so deeply. They really did the best they could. They could not do better than what they did. The knowledge that they have had or had available at that time, that's all they knew. And so they couldn't do more than what they knew. And it's very interesting. For me also, I noticed, and today I was contemplating upon that just before coming to the live, that I almost was kind of gifted now in my recent relationship with my partner. There was a gift that I was gifted to really feel my mom. She came through in this previous relationship, and I could really feel that she couldn't know more than what she knew at that time. She couldn't do more, she couldn't know more. And I felt this kind of limitation so profoundly in my previous relationship that I had to really make the choice to let it go, because we couldn't shift something that we really wanted to shift, and we couldn't shift it as long as we stayed in that particular container. And so it's a very long story, and I will share about this story in depth in the Nectar of You, in my immersion in Portugal, which is really the culmination of my journey from separation to sacred union, through the heartbreaks and the discovery of myself, and how every relationship is really here as a sacred mirror, and how all these different relationships that we have and the different archetypes that we're playing out, that we want to play out, we need to play out, they're all here to help us come back to ourselves. And in that, sometimes we have to take on certain roles in that particular relationship, just so that I can feel, experience, and exhaust this particular karma. So this is what I really experienced in my last relationship with my partner, previous partner, I really felt the mother, like my own mother, and really the mother in myself as myself, and seeing her incapacity of changing something that we all wanted her to change so much, but she just couldn't. She did not have the tools. And it's so humbling, like, to really acknowledge, like, I don't have the tools right now. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to change. I just simply don't know. And that requires so much courage and and the ability to be vulnerable, to say I don't know, and then to really ask for help. Because if I don't know, I don't know. And most of us have learned that it's not okay to say I don't know. We just pretend that we know, or we pretend that everything is okay, but we know that it's not okay, but we don't know how to say that it's not okay, that it's okay, that it's not. We don't know how to really say and acknowledge that we don't know how to do things. So I'm like in a word soup right now. I hope it makes all sense. So basically, yeah, that experience of my own mother and that helplessness and that not knowing, and then she incapable of making a choice that we all wanted for her to do, and now I really got to make that choice. Like, I had to make a decision, and I really did it in the name of love, like truly for love. And that has been so profoundly empowering. And like the dharmic thing in that moment, from the outside, it could look like it is the dharmic thing to stay together, because most of the time we go out of relationship too quickly. But sometimes we also stay too long in a relationship, right, that has served its purpose. So it's a skill to know when to stay and when not to stay anymore, where the relationship, that container, has served its purpose, and it's time to move on. And then I see so many staying in the relationship out of fear that they will end up alone, that they will find no one, and basically betraying themselves. But then we stay just for the sake of staying. And we stay because we don't have the tools. We literally don't know how to get out of this relationship. And we wouldn't know how to cope with the feeling of loneliness, or actually the fear of death ultimately. Like, it all comes down to this fear of death. I'm afraid that I'm going to die alone. And so in the Nectar of You, we're really going to meet these fears, like these fears that need to be met, because unless I meet those fears, then they will dictate my life. And I cannot have a truly healthy relationship. The relationship is based on fear. And it still may be a beautiful relationship, but it's still filled with fear. And we can have a relationship that is free from fear. We can actually have that. We can actually experience that. And that's so liberating. We all deserve to have a relationship where we are not in fear, where you don't have to be afraid and I don't have to be afraid, and there's a deep trust, an underlying trust. But in order to experience that, as an individual, we get to establish a relationship with God, with Goddess. And so this relationship with God, Goddess, that I talked about yesterday, which we establish when we establish an altar, that's why we establish an altar, so that I can establish a relationship with God, Goddess, that which cannot fail, like the partner who cannot fail, the man who's never going to leave me, the woman that's never going to betray me. So I'm establishing this relationship, and that gives me so much inner strength, so much inner freedom, which then allows me to give freedom to the person, whoever they may be, or whoever they are going to be. So, and that's all about today, this number 19. It's all about this relationship, and have relationships that are mutually honoring, and that are win-win situation where we are not dragging each other down and not lost in this codependency. We can acknowledge if we're codependent, and then we can get out of codependency, and we can go into deep, in-depth tendency. Like, I like to put it from codependency, to go in depth, like have a tendency, like have the pattern of going into the depths of what is actually here. Yeah. And so, yeah, this is all coming in the Nectar of You. I'm really like, wow, I'm feeling it. And if you feel the call, come to Portugal, and we're going to work through all of that in depth. to recognize our patterns, how we related to our mom, to our dad, how that dictates our life, and to really establish that relationship with ourselves, promise ourselves that I'm going to be there for myself, I'm going to hold myself no matter what, and then a part of me has to die. Right? That fear of death, we get to meet that fear of death, that fear of loneliness, that fear of ending up alone. And when we meet that fear, actually, then we can really thrive in the relationship. Like, then you can really be free in relationship. You don't have to be free from relationship, which many people believe, like, oh, okay, now if I'm a spiritual seeker, then I cannot have relationships anymore. No, that's not the meaning at all when we say like that the person is not responsible for your happiness or your security. That's just to be objective, that they really are not responsible and they don't have the capacity to make you secure or happy or fulfilled. And so that's the first step of recognition. But it doesn't mean that I cannot have relationships. We all are going to continue to have relationships, but can I be free in this relationship? That's really the gift of self-knowledge, the gift of walking the spiritual path, and the gift of spiritualizing all your relationships. And that's what we're going to do in this step 19 today, in this initiation, is to really become aware of this fact and see relationships as a means for growth. So I think Sophie says, hello, thank you for this challenge and the Dharma and SCX magic. Yes, it's so healing for me, and come more in contact with my body, to embody what I know in my mind. Yes, and that's what we are doing. That's why I'm so passionate about the Vedic teachings, because I have not found any teaching that is as precise as the Vedic teachings. Like, the Vedic teachings has studied every possible mind. It knows every possible psychology. It knows every possible scenario. It's incredible. And you see that when you go into the stories of the Vedic teachings, of the Vedic mythology. If you start to read the Mahabharata, the Ramayanam, the Puranas, the Devi Bhagavatam, all the stories, every story that we are experiencing, you and I, and all the stories we've ever had and played out, and all the drama, they're already there in the Vedic literature, in the Mahabharata and the Ramayanam, and we can learn from these stories so much, and so like certain experiences we have to go through certain dramas, but certain dramas you really need not go through them. You can really learn through the experience from others. I learned so much through the experience from others. Like, for years and years and years I've been holding a women's circle, call them Devi circle, and in those circles I've learned so much, that so many things I decided not to do because others did them, and I know what happened basically. And so now when we really want to find our life partner, we want to find the king or the queen, this person, wow, like I have so many jewels to share with you, because we don't have the patience to stay with ourselves and the process, and so then we compromise, right? You're compromising, and you're accepting the breadcrumbs instead of like, no, I don't want the breadcrumbs, I want the real deal. And we can have the real deal. It just may take some more time, but it's worth it, right? Because then I can avoid all these dramatic stories. It saves me a lot of time. It saves me actually a lot of pain. And I see that also in the tantric, like New Age, neo community, there's a lot of trying to bypassing by being in polyamorous relationships, which it can work, but it's very rare. It requires a lot of maturity to do that. Yeah. But the essence of the Vedic teachings is not to just go totally after your desires. It is positive, and yes, says all desires are sacred, but make sure they're dharmic, see where they're coming from, and inquire what do you really want, and then choose wisely which desires you're going to pursue. Yeah. And so that's why I love the Vedic teachings, because it's most precise. It knows the psychology. And then, which I love with the embodiment rituals, like the sacred SEX embodiment rituals, it really brings it down into the body, because we can know many things, but have we really embodied them? Have I really gone through the trauma that is still stored in the body? That's a whole other question to be asked and then to go through. And for that we need to create safe spaces, safe containers. So that's my intention with the Nectar of You. Katarina says, a lot to say. This daily ritual is giving more magic on different forms. I'm in a process in my relationship to create different boundaries, different ways to be, day by day. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And also, I don't know what will happen. I surrender. I try. Yes, we don't know. And actually, we don't need to know. And the truth is, nobody really knows. And we all pretend to know. But the truth is, we don't know. And there is this sweetness in not knowing. But then seeking knowledge, like then seeking wise counsel. That's what we call intelligent seeking. Not just be like, okay, I don't know, and then I'm just going to leave my fate over to the universe. Like, yes and no. There's also like an intelligent seeking. Okay, I'm going to seek wise counsel. I'm going to put myself with the people into the situation that are really trustworthy and I admire and I can learn from and grow in and from that. Ulrika, for me, it's not so important to have a life partner. Been alone 30 years and feel very well. Beautiful. Like, that's such a beautiful example. And these are also stories we need to hear more. Because there are so many people like that are actually alone and are so happy with themselves. And you have that because you've been a yogini also for so many years. Like, you have your tools, your practices, and your knowledge, which is yourself. You have yourself, and yourself is that which fills every hole, really. Right? But many people don't know that, and so many people are so afraid just of the idea of being alone. It scares them so much. So, yeah. Okay, beautiful. So welcome everyone that has joined in the meantime. Sarah, Erin, Anka. Okay, so this number 19, Ritualize Our Life Challenge, is dedicated like to see the sacred, or the God, Goddess, the sacred, the infinite intelligent being in the form of all beings. So basically this step is also as we sit at our altar, like yesterday, my invitation to set up an altar. If you don't know how to do that, you can listen to the reel from yesterday, the live from yesterday, and you can also download the free altar guide in my website, devischool.info. And I also talk about like what the altar is and how it helps us. So, and then I mentioned like that we can sit on the altar, we can light a candle that represents the knowledge, the truth, the clear guidance to be there in my life, and that we make an intention. We set the intention of the day, which is called the Sankalpa. That was yesterday. Like, I'm setting an intention before I actually go out into the world. We're aware that there are obstacles, countless obstacles, and we're acknowledging the unseen factor. The unseen factor is so much bigger than what we can see, and we're acknowledging that and invoke grace to remove the obstacles, and we ask for our desires, for our wishes, for our goals, our projects to be successful, so that we can fulfill our dharma, basically our offering, our work, our contribution. And so we talked about how you can offer flowers for that purpose. And so now the next step at the altar, if you have an altar, otherwise just imagine one, or like sit somewhere in your house where it feels like this is a place where it's clean energetically. And you can also just close your eyes and then do this. So the next step, step 19, is to have that moment of acknowledging that the truth actually is that all beings, whoever I meet, is God, Goddess. So my teacher would say, like, this is how God, Goddess is, in the form of your mother, in the form of your father, in the form of your husband, in the form of your wife, in the form of your child, in the form of your partner, in the form of your neighbor. This is how God, Goddess, sacred being is, in the form of your boss, in the form of your president, in the form of your landlord, in the form of every being, basically. And so this is a big one, right? This is a big one, because we have this idea that God, Goddess, right, is up there in the clouds, different from us. No, God, Goddess is in the form of Nara. Nara means human beings. And the people that are there in your life, they're exactly the people that you need in order to grow. The people that are there in your life, those are the people that you need right now. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there in your life. That you need to have as a sacred mirror in order to grow. If that's what you want, right? Not everyone wants to grow. Right? Not everyone wants to grow. But if your desire is to grow as a human being, not physically, like physically we're growing naturally, but when I talk about growth, I mean emotional growth, and then eventually spiritual growth. And so there's no spiritual growth without emotional growth. There's no spiritual growth without emotional growth. What is spiritual growth? Spiritual growth is the understanding, the recognition that you are everything. Spiritual growth is the recognition that you are the whole. That has to land. It gets to land. That's the journey of a person that seeks liberation. That person that seeks moksha, liberation, in reality wants to know I am the whole. Because only when you know, when you recognize that you are the whole, there is liberation. And so you can see if that's true for you. That is what the Veda says. That's what I stand for. That's my view on life, and it makes total sense for you, for me. If it doesn't make sense for you, that's okay. I invite you to be with this and sit with it, meditate upon it. And if questions come, doubts come, then bring your questions, bring your doubts. We talked about yesterday the threefold process of gaining, understanding the truth, understanding that we are whole and complete and the whole. To repeat, the threefold process was what? It was Shravanam, that consistent, attentive listening to the teachings, to the Shastra. Here in this particular case, it's the Vedic teachings that we look upon as a proper, appropriate means of knowledge to know the limitless, to know the reality of this experience that I have as a human being. And then the second process was called Mananam, to resolve the doubts and the questions that come when we listen. If we have questions and doubts, it doesn't mean, hello everyone, I like to see you all. And I like so many brothers are here. Yeah. Woo, woo, woo. Yes, I've been invoking brothers. Hey Edwin. Hello Teddy. Hello Tim. Hello Joachim. Yes, I want all the brothers here. And I want you all to come to the Nectar of You retreat. Because I have something so I'm seeing us amazing people and doing the work together in a safe space and being sacred mirrors to each other and just doing the work. So, okay. Yeah, because you who are joining now, you don't know, you maybe haven't heard everything I said about the Nectar of You, the immersion in Portugal, but it's basically really for you, for me, women, men, non-binary, that are amazing people, and we just want to grow in our relationships and make the most out of our relationships. And we all know that it starts with ourselves, so that we can really have this exquisite relationship with our partners in deepest honor. And so going back here where we are, basically to with the spiritual growth, right? So the spiritual growth is the discovery that I am the whole. Yesterday I talked about the threefold process: Shravanam, exposing oneself to the teaching; Mananam, resolving the doubts. So if there are doubts, like, and questions, they are all welcomed. So if it doesn't make sense for you to, like, okay, what the Veda says, like, the spiritual growth is the discovery in that I am the whole, like, and that is liberation. In other words, freedom from all pain and suffering. Yeah. Because where does all pain and suffering stem from ultimately? All pain and suffering, right? And that pain and suffering you experience most profoundly in your relationship, especially with your significant others, especially with your lover or your intimate partner. Like, there, the wound of separation just like comes up so strong, or at least that's how it was for me. Like, I was married and then I was jealous like hell just because he would, like, look as another woman. What is it? It's the wound of separation. And even in my last relationship, that it was other things. But like the core wound that we all experience as human beings is that I'm separated from the whole. And so liberation in the way that says is in the discovery of yourself being whole and complete. Not only that it is the whole. So in basically that you're always one with the whole. So we call it the journey or the pilgrimage from separation, or the notion of separation, to sacred union. And that's what Nectar of You in Portugal in October is all about. Like, it's this journey from separation, the notion of separation, to sacred union within and without. Because only if I know that I am one, that my inner masculine and my inner feminine, they are married, like they are actually partners, they're friends for life, then you can really have a healthy relationship with the person outside. Yeah. And so the world outside mirrors where you are at right now in your life. Like, the world outside, the people that are there in your life right now, they mirror where you are at in your spiritual growth, in your spiritual growth, and not only that, in your emotional growth. Because the emotional growth is intimately connected to the spiritual growth. And that's where also many people think they can bypass that, especially in the Neo-Tantra community. Right? Then we go into the vision, like Tantra. What means Tantra? Tan vistare, to expand. Right? So we're using different tools, rituals, in order to expand. And so then there's an excuse. I'm going to just have all these rituals with all these different people so that I can expand, and then get triggered left and right, and it kind of bypass the emotional being in the excuse that, like, I am one with all, so I can be one with everyone that I want to be one with. So that's not really what the Vedic teaching is conveying, or at all in any way. So the Tantra, like Tan Vistare, to expand, is yes, to use these tools in order to expand, in order to get mirrored, and then come back to yourself. Like, you have the mirror, and you don't need many mirrors, do you? I needed one mirror, like my life partner, that showed me every single bit of myself, almost every single bit. And then there's maybe another woman, and then maybe one or two or three more people. But with one person can show you so much about yourself, right? We don't need to FUCK, like with all these people, in order to know where I need to grow. No, right? You have this one person that can be your moksha sadhana partner. It can be your partner with whom you make a commitment. We're going to grow together. Sometimes it can also get rigid. Like, then the yogis sometimes are too rigid, and it has to be this one person. It can be no one else, because there's a beauty to it. But like, we got to see, there's always, it's not black and white. And so basically, like, spiritual growth is the understanding that I am the whole. That's the ultimate growth. When you understand that you are the whole, you don't grow anymore, really, from the standpoint of the self, because you are everything. So how can you grow? You are everything already. There's no growth that takes place. But like the relative personality, which is you, the Jiva, you Fia, you Alexia, you Theo, you Ulrika, I Sharada, like you Joachim, you Edwin, we all are still growing as the relative human, the person that has had experience with mom and dad and siblings and in this life. Like there is always an infinite ways to grow. Right? And so that's the emotional growth. And there we get to really become quite a master, like in that emotional growth, which means part of our spiritual growth is to become a master, like master our emotions in terms of not that I control my emotions and I'm not going to have emotions anymore. No, not at all. Like mastery means actually to be able to recognize my emotions. Oh, there are emotions. I can welcome my emotion. I can welcome every single emotion. And I don't make a judgment upon myself for having this particular emotion. Yeah. I don't judge myself for being jealous. I don't judge myself for being angry. I don't judge myself for being depressed or in grief. Like all these emotions are going to continue to surface. And some may not surface anymore after some time, but some may do, because you don't know all the things you have experienced in your past life. You have experienced every single possible scenario. So there's countless of emotions in you, countless unprocessed scenario, and part of our karma is to exhaust to a high extent these scenarios and these emotions. And so when we make it our life purpose, then yes, we can really process emotions, become aware of our emotions to a very high extent, and then avoid the big breakouts that turn into a drama, because I'm aware of my past, I'm aware of my traumas. I get to know myself relatively so intimately that I can now handle myself, the relative self, and I can express what's going on. I can express the triggers. I can express my needs. I can express my fears. Because if you don't express them, if you deny them, what is going to happen? Your unconscious will create a scenario that will exactly be what you're so afraid of, so that you can release this particular fear or emotion. There's a visitor here. So we have the opportunity, we have the possibility, we can, in a safe space, we can acknowledge our story, our patterns, and the relationships are best for that, like they tell us everything about ourselves. We can learn from these past relationships, from our patterns, bring them up, and then meet the fears in a healthy, conscious, prayerful way, and then we can actually establish the relationships that we want to establish. Because we're bringing out the fear, we're bringing out the pain in a healthy, conscious way, prayerful way, and we ritualize it, we bring it to the altar, and then the other person with whom I'm in a relationship with, they get actually to understand me. But I'm not like vomiting it all onto them. I'm expressing, I can explain what's going on. Like they cannot understand me if I don't understand myself. How can I expect my partner to hold me, to love me, to validate me, to understand me, if I don't myself really understand myself and am able to validate myself and love myself and be there for myself? So it all is with me, right? And so once you understand yourself to such a degree, and this requires a lot of time, it requires dedication, it requires for you to say, no, I'm going to spend time alone. And I'm rather by myself, with myself, and I'm alone, rather than just go into next relationship, right? Just settle for the next best, because I'm afraid of being alone. Because if you just settle again for the next best, how are you going to process all of this and get to know yourself so intimately? So you do the work, and we have all these tools available to us. It's all here. It's all here. We have all the tools to get to know ourselves so intimately, so that when the person comes, and the person is actually already there, like your king, your true king, your true queen, they are there. But they want you to know yourself, right? They want you to they also have worked on themselves. So they're not coming into your life until you're actually open for them. A part of you is still closed. A part of you is not letting them come into your life because you're still holding on to the old people in your life, to the relationships that actually have already long served its purpose, but out of fear you're holding on to them, and then it doesn't allow for the new to come. So we got to be courageous, right? We got to be warriors and warrioresses. Right? And all of this we do in the Nectar of You immersion in Portugal this year, 28 October to November 3. It's 7 full days. Like, it's all about like this. And yeah, I'm really, really excited for it. I'm really excited for it because I see so many people that have been in this, right? And have actually been in this world of Tantra, in this world of yoga, in the world of spirituality, and still haven't really cracked the jackpot. Like, are still repeating the old patterns again. And so now there are the tools there, the teachings are there. They just need to be understood properly and then applied properly, and not just put into our own way so that it fits again our way of being. Like, so then we start to put the teachings and the tools, we turn it to our own advantage so that it fits our own way, so that we don't have to give up, right, our old ways and patterns. But no, like, if we really are with the teachings and the tools properly, they show us very clearly, right, and teach us very clearly how to get out of this samsara, this cycle of becoming, like this cycle of birth and death and going through the same drama over and over and over and over again. And that's why it starts with dharma. Right? So you go from drama to dharma, you understand what is dharma, like what are universal values, how do you want to be treated, how do you treat your partner, and no excuses to just like go and do all of this ritual with everyone, right? No, like one of the values is brahmacharini or brahmachari, and one of the translation is celibacy, which is actually a wrong translation. It's not, I mean, it can be misunderstood, and it has been misunderstood in the yoga tradition so much. So then, like, for a long time, the yogis then do not have intimacy at all. I'm talking about sex intimacy. So then they don't have any at all. And so what happens is then you have all these like ashrams and yoga schools that are like suppressing their sex energy, SEXUAL, it's a word I can't say, otherwise I'm going to get banned, like this most intimate energy, then they're keeping it, retaining it, not expressing it, so then it becomes like a explosion situation. Right? And there's some denial there of these natural, beautiful human desires, and then we shame them or make them wrong or say they're unspiritual. So that's not the meaning of celibacy or brahmachari at all. Yeah. And then we have the other excuse in the Tantra, Neo-Tantra world, where, okay, we don't at all acknowledge that actually value. Like, who talks about dharma in the Neo-Tantra world? Nobody really. But dharma is always there in all spiritual traditions. Like, there's no yoga, there's no mantra, there's no kriya, there's no tantra without dharma. Like, dharma that's the golden rule that has to go in and through all. And so then in the tantra, like the excuse, okay, I'm just going to go with everyone and everything. But that's also not the teaching, yeah. And so if we look at brahmachari, like the word brahmachari means actually brahmachari or charini. Chari is for male, charini is for female. It comes from the root char, and char means from the root gam, and gam is the dhatu, the Sanskrit, and it means to go, and then the gam turns into char, and gam means to go, and brahma means to go towards that which is limitless. So to go towards that which is whole and complete. And that's actually the inner meaning of brahmachari or brahmacharini. So there's a value to spend time with yourself in order to know that which is limitless. So then I give time to myself to get to know myself properly. And then in order to get to know yourself, you need to have a mirror, you need to have support. I needed to have support. I mean, I could have never gotten to know myself by myself. Like, I don't know, if you think you can get to know yourself by yourself, good luck, right? Everyone needed help. And what is wrong with getting help? Nothing, right? Nothing. We got help from the very beginning. We were born. And we're going to need help all the way till we die. So we better get used to getting help. And why don't we get help? Because we lack self-love, we lack trust, right? We are afraid and we are in debt for eternity to this person. We got to resolve all of that, right? You know, when you actually let yourself be helped, you're actually gifting someone, you know, the gift of being a giver. You know? So it's the greatest gift you can give to humanity, to let yourself be helped. I mean, I let myself be helped so profoundly by my teachers. I could not say a word without my teachers. I had to die to all and everything I learned about myself in order for this teaching to land in me. And again I get help, because like in the relative persona, there's still so much to grow and assimilate and resolve. Just recently another like big trauma came up that I experienced as a child with my sister. And so why not get help? Yeah, there's no shame in getting help. Actually, it's so profoundly courageous, and that's the true hero. Like, he asked for help. The hero doesn't go alone into the battlefield. You have your whole army with you, right? We don't need to do that alone. Ubuntu, right? Is the teaching of Ubuntu. So basically, like, so yeah. Yeah. Number 19. All beings, like, so every single relationship is here to help me grow. And yes, like, it's not about, exactly, brahmachari. I come back to brahmachari now. So brahmachari, like, to go towards that which is limitless, which is yourself, but we get to have mirrors, support, we dedicate time, a certain amount of time to get to know ourselves relatively and absolutely, and then you have heart-connected relationships. Right? You have heart-connected intimacy. You connect with people that have the same value that you have. You connect with people that have dharma at their heart, that want to grow, that want to use these teachings and these tools appropriately, and not just find excuses to like go and, no, you create heart-connected intimacy. And you have a person with whom you grow, if that in that sacred intimacy, because in that sacred intimacy, like physical intimacy, that's where we have projected most of our pain onto. Like all our wounds, our core wound. Oh, a little bee is here. Hello, bee. The core wound of what? Of separation, and that I talked at the beginning. This idea that we are separated. Then we have this idea that when we are physically intimate, now we are one. And in that moment, the ego dissolves. The subject-object division dissolves. There is no other than you. It's just one being. Like, so you meet God, Goddess, in that most beautiful sacred act of love-making. But what happens is like you project it onto the person with whom you just had love. Right? And that's where you need the teachings. You need the teachings. You need the mirror. You need this scalp. You call it scalpel. Like a surgeon who has a knife, and then a heart surgeon like really needs to know how to do this surgery, because just going one little millimeter too much to the left or right, the person dies. And the Vedic teachings, Vedanta, is the same. Like it's the scalpel, I think you call it. Like it's this razor blade to make you see how you project your ananda, like the pleasure, the ananda, the fullness, onto this other person, onto this other being. And especially in like physical intimacy, lovemaking, especially when there's penetration. Right? And so that's where we have to scalpel. And so the Vedic teachings, the Vedanta is like a scalpel. It helps us to differentiate what is you, and what is not you. Where does the ananda, the pleasure and the fullness come from? It comes from you. I talked about that in the step number initiation of the pleasure as goddess, number 10. So it's so easy, like it happens naturally to project that fullness onto that person with whom you're intimate. Yeah, and that's where all our pain originates. Right? It's the pain with the idea that I'm separate from mom, I'm separate from dad, I'm separate from God. And so the sacred union that the yoga, the Tantra, the Vedic tradition talks about, it's really the sacred union that is already always here. Like the recognition that yourself is always one with God, is always one with your husband. You don't need to have love-making ritual in order to experience sacred union. It is one of the most powerful rituals given to us to experience it, but then it's an experience. And so you got to use it as a tool. It's a means, it's a mirror, yes. And then you use the tool and you have the teaching to help you see that actually the love that you're experiencing in that moment, the oneness that you're experiencing in that love making, it does not come from the love making. It is your essential nature. And so then, like intimacy, and it is also a tool. It is meant as a tool. It's not meant to go and fuck like a rabbit every day, right? It's just like, no, it's like meant as a tool, and it's actually a medicine. Like the love making, it's a medicine. It's like, I think it's the most powerful medicine, really, when we understand to actually give time for the medicine to wirken, to in German, to wirken, for the medicine to what's wirken? You know, like when you take a medicine and then it takes the time for it to what's the word? Yeah. To work? Is that the word in English? For the medicine to work. Because in German we have like a specific word for medicine when you take medicine. But okay, in English it's to work, like for the medicine to work. And so you take the medicine, and then most of the time you gotta wait. Like you wait, and then after half an hour, 1 hour, 1 day, it's effect. Yes. And it's the same with these tools, like the mantra, the puja, the meditation, the teachings, and especially lovemaking. And lovemaking with yourself, and especially lovemaking with another person. It's a medicine. And you got to give time for it to work and give its effect, right? It's like, and what does a medicine do? The medicine often, it helps you purge, right? For things to come up. The medicine is like, can be sugar coated. It can be really sweet medicine because they put lots of sugar in there. But then it starts to like purge, like you start to vomit, you start to have diarrhea, you start to sweat, because the medicine is here to help you purge. And so it's the same with lovemaking. Okay? Like it has all these different benefits. Yes, like you can have a baby. But you actually want to make the baby when you first purged a lot. Like that's why in Vedic tradition you go through a big panchakarma, a 5 cleanse ritual of over 21 days, 27 days, 36 days, 48 days, depending on how much you want to cleanse, to really get your body ready, and the semen and the ovum, so that they're healthy, and you can conceive a baby, like, and then you do lots and lots and lots of prayer for that jiva, that being, to come into your life that is really meant for you and you're meant for them. It's so beautiful, all the hey Sevan, all the rituals that in the Vedic tradition are done when you want to conceive a child and become mom and dad. It's so beautiful. It's so sacred. Lovemaking is so sacred. Like everything is sacred in life. Nothing is profane. But the act of lovemaking, it's so sacred. Like, I mean, the physical intimacy. It's like you can create a baby. Like for me, it's so sacred, the energetic lovemaking and the sensual lovemaking and all of it. I love it, but it's so like the physical one. You can create a baby, like the responsibility that has been given to you, to me, that I can create a baby through that act. And that awareness has to be there. Like my previous partner, he would say, and I love this, like he would say, I only have sex with a woman that I know I would have a baby with. Because every time I have sex with her, there is a possibility for a baby. Like, except in your infertile days. As those that are women, we talked about fertility and infertility in the step number, what was it? 7 and 8. Oh, and the mucus also. Like, that is the 7. And the temperature. Yeah, we talked about it 3 times. Number 4, 7 and 8. So we can have those days where we are infertile. But there are many days where we are fertile. And so, like, this responsibility, this gift that we were given by the universe to create a human being. And so it's a tremendous responsibility. And so, right, this gift is not only there to create a baby, it's also there to heal. It's also there to help us actually very much heal. And then also empower ourselves and also manifest our dreams, not only babies, but also our visions and dreams. Like, that's what we did on Sunday. We had Sunday SCX Magic. So if you want to learn about that, you can get the recording. It's there in my devischool.info, Dharma and SCX Magic. And I teach that in depth in the Muse, in the 1-year container that starts next year, April 2024. If you want to like really go into sacred intimacy, that's the container. But in Nectar View, I also teach all of that. More experience it rather than like really learn the mechanics. The mechanics is in the Muse. But it's so beautiful, it's so profound, it's so sacred, and what a gift. So basically, Brahmachari, right? The value of Brahmachari. So that value is part in my containers. So also for those that are considering coming to the Nectar View and you're afraid of like all this leaky energy, like that's not going to happen in my container. We all go through sacred agreement list. Sacred agreements, they come from the Vedic tradition. That is ahimsa, like the value of causing least harm through words, action. The value of non-judgmentalness. The value of no agenda, like you never have to do anything that you don't want to do. The value of really brahmachari, of honoring the heart-connected relationships that are there. We don't interfere with anyone that is already a couple. Like very clear, I'm not gonna tolerate that in my space. So the value of brahmachari is very beautiful when we actually really understand the meaning of it. So basically here, like here in this step, we are acknowledging that God, Goddess, infinite intelligent being, is in the form of all beings. And so here, I invoke the sacred in all expected and unexpected guests of the day. In Sanskrit, we call it Atiti Devo Bhava. Titi Devo Bhava. So Atiti and Titi Devaha. Devaha means God, Goddess. Atiti means unexpected. And Titihi means expected. Bhava. So it means the Bhava, the attitude of receiving, or the attitude that every expected and unexpected guest is God. So God comes in the form of the expected and unexpected guests. And I remember that every situation, so basically every person with whom then I will have a relationship, maybe not always like a love relationship in that intimacy way, but every person I mean, you are going to be in a relationship in the form of that this person may be your mother, she is going to invoke the daughter in you. Maybe this person is your father, he is going to invoke the son in you. This person is your sister, Goddess, she invokes the sister, brother in you. So, and that I remember that this relationship, this situation is an opportunity for growth. Right? That's the initiation. That I now bring in this awareness that God has manifest in the form of this person, all these relationships that are there, they're exactly what I need in order to grow. And there comes a time when it's time to let certain people go out of love. That's the dharmic thing to go. Or you stay, but you have boundaries, what Katarina spoke about before. And now I'm starting to have boundaries. Okay, you're going to have boundaries. How much time you're going to spend with this person? How much time you're going to spend with that person? No, you're not going to spend 10 hours with that person. You're going to spend 1 hour with that person, or maybe 30 minutes. So you select the people you interact with. Doesn't mean you have to reject them. Doesn't mean you have to not meet them anymore. No. Unless they're really unhealthy and they're you cannot hold your values up, then you may need to give some space. There you got to be very honest with yourself and love yourself and give yourself that time, that solo time, right? To get to know yourself, be with yourself. And then bow, like Anjali Mudra. Namaste Mudra. Now this becomes you probably all have heard it 100,000 times in yoga class, but now it has meaning. You place your hands in Anjali Mudra and you bow in front of the candle, because we're still sitting at the altar, or you have the imaginary candle, and you do this every time you meet someone in your heart. So you're practicing in the morning. This is the light, this is the truth, he, she, they, who are coming into my life, expected, unexpected guests. They are showing me where I need to grow, where I have made a judgment upon myself. If it's a correct judgment upon myself, you can welcome them, right? No problem. But when you make wrong judgments upon yourself and they trigger you, often you want to deny them, you want to judge them, you blame them, you get angry at them. No. Thank you for showing me where I still need to grow. This is God is coming in the form of this person today, the form of all the relationships, to help me see where I can grow and where I'm actually still trapped in the limited self. The truth of your being is you are the whole. You are whole. You are complete. You are the whole universe. There's only one being. There are no two beings. Even though I look different from you, you look different from me, the tree looks different from you, this house looks different from me. Just because we look different, it does not mean that we are different. This nose ring looks different from this ring. It looks very different. But it is one and the same. This necklace, it looks different than this ring. And you even have another name, necklace, ring, nose ring, earring. It's a different name, even a different sound. It even has a different form. It looks different, it sounds different. But is it really different? Is it really different? Is this different from this? It's not. From the standpoint of gold, it is gold. There is only gold. And there are not two golds. If we melt this, and if we melt this, there's only one gold. There are no two golds. There's only one gold. From the standpoint of gold, there's only gold. There is no ring, there is no necklace, there is no nose ring, there is no bangle, there is no jewelry. There is only gold. From the standpoint of yourself, there is only oneself. There is only love. There are many names, Sevan, Fabiola, Leona, Katarina, Sanas, Lilian, Missy, Claudia, all of you who are here, different names, different form, different ages, different gender. But you say you are, I say I am. There's only one amness. There's only one being. Your self-experience is the exact same self-experience that I have. There's only one being, one awareness, one consciousness. There's no two consciousnesses. That's the truth. And when I don't see myself as that one non-dual being, I will get triggered by the world when they don't do what I want them to do. When my mom relates to me as the daughter, I take myself to be the daughter. She takes herself to be the mom. And then she projects her fear onto me, and then I get triggered. Oh, mom, don't treat me like that. I get insecure. And that insecurity just shows I still don't know what I am, what I truly am. And so thank you, Mom, for triggering me, for showing me where I'm still insecure. Thank you, partner, for showing me where I'm still projecting my love, my wholeness onto you. So you bow to all the people that triggered you. I bow to all these people that have helped me to become who I am today. I've experienced the most cruciating pain. Just like you, just like anyone. Just because of the notion that I am not whole, I'm not enough, I'm inadequate, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough. All these wrong judgments. I know exactly how it feels. Exactly. When I say I establish the altar, it's because I know how much pain there is. And we all need to have that place where we can dissolve this pain. And the pain is nothing but a wrong idea, a wrong notion about yourself. So, the mantra for today is this one. I love this one. It's so, so dear to my heart. So dear to my heart. Parasparam, you can say. Parasparam. Parasparam. It's paraha, param, no, it's parasparam. Parasparam. Yeah, parasparam. Bhavayantaha. 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 So you see that bha is that little S spread. Bha, 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 bha. And bha, you open your jaw. Bha, long ah, opens your whole front of the body. Helps to relax the heart, opens the genitals. Bhavayan. And then you put the tongue on the end. Bhavayantaha. 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 The ha. Ha. There's a ha again at the end. Bhavayantaha. Bhavayantaha. Parasparam. Bhavayantaha. Parasparam. Bhavayantaha. Right, so you sit on the altar and you have the candle, imaginary or real candle, and all the people that come into my life. Parasparam. Bhavayantaha. Shreyaf paramavapsyate. Shreyaf. Shreyaf. So first we are learning and then I tell you what it means. Shreyaf. It is Shreyaha. Shreyaf. Sh is always strong, like Shiva. And then A is always long. No, sh is always hard. Sha is always hard. And then A is always long. Shreyaf. Shreyaf. And then Paramavapsyate. 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 Parama, ba, long a, paramavapsyate. Shreyaf paramavapsyate. Shreyaf paramavapsyate. Parasparam bhavayantaha. Shreyaf paramavapsyate. Parasparam bhavayantaha. Shreyaf paramavapsyate. Parasparam bhavayantaha. Shreyaf Parasparam bhavayantaha. Shreyaf paramavapsyate. Can repeat. Parasparam bhavayantaha, bhavayantaha, parasparam bhavayantaha, parasparam bhavayantaha, shreyaf paramavapsyata, shreyaf paramavapsyata. Why does the final A in paramavapsyata sound different in the other A sounds more like an E? Yeah, it's because properly we gotta say it shorter. This is like a little bit like excitement. It's like parasparam bhavayantaha shreyaf paramavapsyata. It's actually paramavapsyata ta. Bhavayantaha paramavapsyata paramavapsyata. There are different A sounds. So that's then the different traditions. And Swamiji has chanted it like that. But it's shorter, like we're not supposed to make it so long. Parasparam bhavayantaha shreyaf paramavapsyata. Yeah. There is some like phonetical thing with the A. There are different, we have usually A and A, and then there are specific A sounds in certain verses. Like for example in the Gayatri mantra we also have that Om Bhur Bhuvassuvaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. That's like that. But no, there is actually no A at the end. Yeah. So parasparam bhavayantaha shreyaf paramavapsyata. Parasparam bhavayantaha shreyaf paramavapsyata. Paramavapsyata. Yeah, I learned like paramavapsyata. There's some special, I think it's called ghana. I don't remember the exact word for the different A sound, when there's specific moments when it's different A. But I think it's called ghana. I can ask Swamiji. So, this, what does it mean? Parasparam bhavayantaha. So bhavayantaha means bhava is my attitude. So my attitude, may my attitude be parasparam. Parasparam means win-win. Right? So knowing that you are blessing me, I am blessing you. Like so that when we are coming together, when the people come into my life, when we are in the relationship, may all these relationships be parasparam, win-win situation, in mutual honor, in deep reverence. And so not that like I'm going to get something from you and then you're not going to get anything. No, win-win situation. And win-win is actually always there when we have this attitude of I want to grow and we're here together to grow together, support each other, celebrate each other. And I want more and more this kind of relationship in my life. You can ask for that. I want more and more relationship that are parasparam, where you have the value that I have the value that you have. We have the similar or the same value. We want to grow. We want to recognize where we've projected our wholeness. We want to become independent, strong, sovereign, love ourselves, and have win-win situations where we are not competing. We talked about that at the very beginning. Like we're ritualizing our life in order to become contributors. And we're not here to compete with each other. We're here to create win-win situations. And I have such a deep trust in this, knowing. Like I've chanted this so many times, in so many years. Actually, all my relationships are really win-win. Like I'm so blessed. And the ones that are not win-win, they actually dissolved very quickly in my life. Like all people, you, my students, we're so win-win. It's so profound. And the people have invited me to come do trainings. And there's this deep mutual honor there. We know, we have the understanding of the unseen. We know that the unseen is so much more valuable than the seen. And we know that we're creating spiritual wells for you, for me, for all of us. And we give much more value to the unseen than the seen. We know that there is a profound value in the unseen when there's win-win situation. So like this is this attitude, the bhava, the attitude of parasparam, and that's what I want in my life with all beings. And those that do not have that value, like I wish you well. I have a prayer for you. You can, you have your life, and I honor and respect that. And then Shreya Paramavapsyate, and then may we gain Shreyaha. That's a big invocation. Like Shreyaha means moksha. Shreyaha means the absolute wealth. Shreyaha means the defectless goal. Shreyaha means freedom, fearlessness. I want the highest. I want the highest truth. I want the highest love. I want oneness. Right? Paramavapsite. May we gain, both of us, through this relationship, the highest. So beautiful. Parasparam bhavayantaha shreyaf paramavapsyate. And paramavapsyate. And the whole verse in Bhagavad Gita is Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantuvaha parasparam bhavayantaha shreyaf paramavapsyate. This is the whole verse. I think it's chapter 3, verse 11. I can look it up. There you have the whole verse. This is like half of the verse with the gist. So I'm invoking mutual honoring situations, win-win situations. I want to recognize that this relationship is here so that I can grow, we both can grow, and may we gain the highest. So beautiful. That's what I wish for you, for me, for all of us. May we gain the highest. Tathastu, let it be so. Thank you so much for being here with me, present. And we're going to conclude here. If we wake up tomorrow, we continue with 20. Initiation number 20. Oh. Hermoso. Sí. Thank you. So deep today. Thank you. Yes, today was deep. I also feel it. Thank you, everyone. Sacred mirror we are. Yes. Fabiola. Beautiful. Yes, let that all like sink into our heart and like, we have God, Goddess, establish the altar, love, fall in love, rise in love with yourself, be with yourself, get to know yourself, become your own best friend. And then we have the relationships that really like inspire us and bring the best out in each other. Om Bera. See you tomorrow. Much love.